Hello class, and welcome to the spot test demonstration. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to just discuss the use of lichen spot testing, and I'm going to show you the common chemicals that are frequently used for lichen spot tests and how to prepare them and perform these tests. So what you can see right here are the ideal tools that you would use for lichen spot testing, although all of these aren't required, and I'll go through that here in a moment. But just to kind of recap about lichen chemistry. So we'll talk more about lichen chemistry in lecture, but what we will discuss is that most lichens produce unique secondary metabolites or compounds. And so of course, it's actually the microbiome that is most of the time producing these metabolites. But the neat thing is that because oftentimes they are unique to species or at least to genera, they can be quite diagnostic and very helpful when trying to determine and identify species or genera. And so because of that, lichen spot tests, the results of those tests are often included in keys. And so because of that, it's really important that you know how to perform these tests and are proficient in them, because they really can be a really great tool in lichenology. So to the chemicals now. So you can see I have some substances here, and so I'll just kind of briefly mention each. And so the first here is KOH, and this is what we use to perform what we call the K-test. And so you will have received 3 pellets of dry KOH, and you'll just for all of these follow the directions on how to prepare these, the detailed directions in that chemical assembly document. But essentially you'll be provided with those dry pellets. You'll also be provided with empty vials. These ones are larger than what I'll be giving you, but you'll have the 3 pellets. You'll add 5 milliliters of water, which is essentially just filling it to the top, and kind of just stir it and let it completely dissolve, and you have your roughly 10% KOH solution, which is what we use for the K-test. And then we have the C reagent, and this is actually just, this is one of the easier ones to make or acquire, because all it is household bleach. The key thing though is you need to make sure that the bleach that you use for this is fresh, because if you're using old bleach, sometimes it just doesn't react as well. And then you need to make sure that the bleach that you're using is chlorinated bleach, because it's actually that chlorine that really is the key active ingredient that's reacting with these lichen chemicals. So that's C. And so those are the first 2. And then the third, and oftentimes pretty interesting, I think, produces a lot of the most interesting reactions, is the P test. And so P stands for paraphenylenediamine, and this is the one that is in powder form, and this is the one that you will have to order by phone from that company that is mentioned on that document. And it's because that it is a hazardous chemical, and so of course both of those are hazardous, but more in terms of just not really wanting to get it on your skin, and if you do, just kind of flush with water. Same goes for this, but I'd say it's a bit more hazardous, particularly because the way we use this, like I said, it's in powder form, and we put it in all of these we put in these dark bottles, because that just helps preserve them for longer periods of time against degradation from UV light. But the P reagent, what we do, it's powder. I'll show you in a moment here, but you'll just use a few grains and place it. Of course, I have this nice ceramic well plate. You don't have to buy one of these. They can be expensive and really are unnecessary. All you need is just buy like a used ceramic small plate or bowl or dish and designate that for your spot tests. Of course, don't use it after that for eating. And so in this case, I would take just a few small grains and I'm going to mix it with ethanol or some kind of alcohol. Isopropanol also works fine. It just takes a little longer to dry. And so this one can be a little bit, one, it's hazardous, but because we're mixing it with ethanol, over time as it's sitting in your well plate, the ethanol of course evaporates. So that means that this substance, the P substance, is also kind of volatilizing and evaporating, so you will likely find little spots. It'll stain places in your spot test area, so that's why you really don't want to do this in any area that you consume food or eat. And I'd say wash your hands after handling it as well. Okay, and so then, let's see, so I'll go into more detail with how you specifically perform each of these. But then we have here a capillary tube. That's something else that you will have received in your lab kit. And we use that to say I've placed a little bit of the P and the ethanol in there. So now I have a liquid, and then you can use the capillary tube to just suck up a little bit of that liquid and then drop it on your lichen sample. So that's what you can use your capillary tube for that you will have received in the mail. Okay, with that now, let's move on to each of these specific spot tests and go through some examples.